We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Big mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the S3E19, time or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it.
All right, folks, welcome one and all. Our international podcast. How you folks are doing? We're privileged you guys are here. We are happy you guys are here. As the poet would say, we're of happy consequence that you folks are here with us today. Pace and power, boots on the ground. You know how we do it, folks. Boots on the ground. Let us know if you're reading us loud and clear, folks. Please and thank you. Let us know if you are reading us loud and clear. I see Debbie Hohenkirk is here, Brenda Braffett. Gala Spectators here as well. I see June Cameron. I see Deborah. Debbie Hohenkirk. Alana Tang is back with us. Unruly Green is here too. Andrew Cuthbert, not to be left out. Good to have you folks. And John, all the hands are out today. Wilma Grant is here too, good folks. Wilma Grant and Stacey Ann Stoll. Stacey, how are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yep. Good to have you folks. We outside. John Jones. Good to see you. Sherlyn Juice Tendry and Tessa Isaacs, Graves Andy, and all the other folks joining us here live, folks. We're broadcasting from the national capital city here in Georgetown. It's good weather outside. It's good weather outside. How about you folks? What's for lunch? And how is the weather where you are? Please let us know. We're getting ready to start, folks. We got a guest who's going to be dropping by as we wade through some issues, folks, out of region number 2. And that's our focus in today's program of State of the Region, folks. A lot of stuff happening. We can touch on some stuff that are happening nationally as well, folks. But first, they're telling us it's 29 degrees outside here, at least in the national capital city of Georgetown. But they say it feels like 36. I will go with the latter. It definitely feels like 36, guys. Feels like 36. And they're telling us there's a 16% chance it's going to rain. 16% chance it's going to rain into the afternoon. And that percentage increases to 23 as we move into the evening. Good, folks. And that's what's happening on the weather front, folks. I'm eager to know what's happening for lunch. Wilma Grant, technician, is on the job. She says she's hearing us loud and clear as far as Brooklyn. Marilyn Thomas is here as well. Selena Fraser is telling us it rained all day. It's raining all day in Toronto. Yep. Good to have you, Selena. Really good to have you. Raymond Jones and Laverne Lincott. Laverne is one of our technicians. She's on the job. She says she's hearing us loud and clear. We're very privileged for that. Candace Narayan, good day to you, Candace. Welcome. What's for lunch? Folks, I know there's a bit of chicken somewhere involved there and some vegetables. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know what precisely is the combination. But we are going to take a look at that. Folks. But good to have each and every one of you here, folks. Pace and power, boots on the ground. Good to have you, folks. Yep. Good to have each and every one of you. Good to have you folks here with us. Good to have you folks. Pace and power, guys. Pace and power. Good to have each and every one of you guys joining us. Really good to have you here. I see Unica Grandison has joined us as well, and Stacey Ann Stoll and Ingrid King is going to be here with us. I see Magnell Barrow as well, and all the other good folks who are joining us. Ingrid King, I see Carol Rollins and Cecile O'Gill is here, and Chisel Chipper not to be left out. He said they're here too. I did, and we're so privileged that you guys are joining us. So very privileged. How is it where you guys are? Please let us know. Viola, Steve Innes is with us, and Lois McKenzie, of course. Good to have you, Lois, and Desmond Harris, all the other folks. Desmond is watching us from the west coast of Demerara. How is the weather there? And what's for lunch, Desmond? Good to have you aboard. And Simone Hooper's here as well. And I see Andrew Cuthbert. All of our favorite people are here. And we are very, 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 very grateful to have each and every one of you here with us, folks. Good to have each and every one of you here with us. Good to have Cheryl Mulrain and all the other guys who are joining us. Juliet Mickle. Uh, Good to have Ganesh Mahi Paul, who's here too. Ganesh is here, folks. I don't want to waste too much time because there's so many issues to get through today, folks. So many issues to get through, and we're gonna jump right into it in just a second. Let me just make sure that all our I's are dotted, or our T's are crossed. And for some folks, we know it's the other way around. It's the T's and dotted and the I's are crossed. But we know for some of you, the elevator don't reach the top floor anyhow. So, and that being said, folks, happy to have each each and every one of you. It's a real privilege, guys, being here and be able to talk to you and have you guys talk back to us. It's really important to us. We really love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Love having you good folks here. Pace and power, guys. Pace and power. Hope your boots on the ground. It comes off of social media and cyberspace and all the other things once in a while to get the business of the people uh, done. And I'm going to be joined today by an MP. You know the fella, I know the fella, we all know the fella. Folks. The one and only, I hope he's still with us, the one and only Ganesh Mahi Paul. And Ganesh is the shadow minister for the Ministry of Works and Regional Development. Do we have Ganesh with us today? I pray that we do. I pray that we do, folks. Do we have MP, Member of
Hello,
Parliament, Honorable Suspended?
Jared. Good day. I trust you're hearing me loud and clear.
I am hearing you loud and clear. Let me try to ascertain whether our listening public internationally and locally, they're hearing you loud and clear as well. Folks, let us know if you're hearing Ganesh. Please do. Roxana Estrado, are you hearing Ganesh? Macnell Barrow, Marlon Thomas, you hearing Ganesh, folks? You hearing Ganesh? Technicians, come on. Are you hearing Ganesh? Stacey Ann Stoll, what
I
about you?
I trust that they are, and where I am, the weather is a bit cloudy,
Where is that,
and
if you don't mind sharing with us?
it's in Region Three.
You're in Region
Region
3.
Three.
Awesome, awesome.
And
Selena Fraser
the
says
weather is
loud and clear. She's hearing you loud and clear in Toronto. Tessa Isaac Graves Andy says yes, she's hearing you loud and clear. And Noel Grant as well, and Cheryl Welch. Yep. Candy Lean Indergy says yes, she's hearing you loud and clear in Campton Reed. All the folks, yep. And it's a bit low. So Ganesh, if you can pick it up a little bit for us, unless somebody needs to turn up their volume and others, because I'm hearing you pretty okay.
okay. I just turned up my volume, so I don't know if that will help. But I am here in my corner, observing what is happening, enjoying the weather. It
Mm-hmm.
has been raining for quite some time, and
Mm-hmm.
today seems to be a little bit better for me. And I am appreciating the weather for what it is, and proceeding to continue to represent the people who elected me to serve in the National Assembly. And also, I am continuing to watch how is it that this installed regime continues to hamper the lives of our people, not only by way of corruption, but by way of not considering the ordinary Guyanese citizens in this quest of developing our land equally. Something that really bothers me. But outside of that, as an individual, I'm doing quite fine. I know the suspension is one thing by itself, but notwithstanding that, I continue to do what I have to do like all my other colleagues whom I'm privileged to serve with.
Excellent. I saw Rick, one of the persons listening to us somewhere in the world, is saying the suspension crew. Folks, I had the opportunity to do it all over again. We must stand for something or fall for nothing in this life of ours.
Sherrod, a number of people have asked me how is it that I feel about being suspended. And outside of the fact that I believe we were not treated fairly, we
Hmm.
were not
Hmm.
given the right as enshrined in our constitution to be afforded a hearing
Hmm.
and to plead our
Hmm.
cases, and we were not afforded that opportunity to walk with our representatives in this case lawyers to defend our actions. I wear this suspension as a badge of honor because I was standing up for what is right for the
Correct.
people of this country. I was fighting for them. I continue to fight for them. It is their vote, their will that has us where we are, and we cannot be captured in any way or form to fall prey to the PPP and their actions. We have to continue to do what is necessary to defend the rule of law, to defend Guyana, and to not allow the guardrails of our democracy to crumble upon us. And as much as we're putting up a good fight, the People's Progressive Party seems to not care about the ordinary citizens of this country and how they are affected on a daily basis by their measures, their irresponsible measures,
Hmm.
their inconsiderable measures, and their inconsiderate actions that are affecting the Guyanese people at large.
Very well. And we're going to talk a little bit more about a lot of other things, but I'm happy you started here, Ganesh, because you outlined a number of things, not being afforded the opportunity of a fair hearing, a right to be heard. All of those are, what they call natural justice rights. And in addition to that, Ganesh, I want to underscore another point that sometimes gets lost in this particular conversation. The fact that in that report that was presented to the National Assembly by this Committee of Privileges, it said that a number of persons had tendered statements and were interviewed, and the list there seems very, very weird because to this date, I have not neither seen the report, and if there is a report, I clearly did not see any statements in which anybody give, um, you know, arguments to counter what we said transpired on that day in December. It seems very, very strange. The persons were interviewed, and the persons accused or their representatives did not have a chance, as you say, to put questions to them and to respond to those accusations. Quite strange in a judicial system. And the parliament, the people should know, is the highest judicial body in this country that makes the laws.
Well, Sharad, as I have umpteen times said, in any democracy,
Mhm.
whether it is India, which is perhaps the largest democracy in the world, or if it's the United States of America or Canada, or any country that claims to be democratic, and a person is innocent until proven otherwise. And in the court systems that we adopt to, it
Mhm.
allows one to be charged and placed before a judge or a magistrate who will try the matter, hear the claim, and determine the matter. That is what happens in a democracy.
Talk to us.
In this instance, it is the same that applies. The parliamentary practice of having a committee of privileges is one that affords members of parliament the right to be heard. Some people are saying that you were suspended, Sherrod, and
Hmm.
Bishop Edghill were suspended on the spot and not given that right to be heard. But there is a distinction between what happened on the 29th of December 2021 and what happened with Bishop Edghill and his matter. He was clearly in defiance of the speaker's ruling at the time
Correct.
of matter, at the
Correct.
time of the matter. And he refused to sit when the speaker ordered him to sit, and he was arguing that more time should be awarded to him to cross examine the office of the president's expenditure. And he, as a seasoned member of parliament, knows, he knows that the time that was allotted is a time that was agreed by the chief whips. So he was part and parcel of knowing that he cannot vilify that agreement. Your matter, on the other hand, you were defending a female member of parliament that was being accosted in the most sexist of manner by a member of parliament from the government side. And I think you did what was right as a gentleman, and you did what was right as an individual, standing up for a lady, standing up for a woman member of parliament that has faced some of the harshest of comments coming from the government side. They are two distinct matters, those two incidents and this incident. This incident was referred to the Committee of Privileges. And because it was referred to the Committee of Privileges, it has opened the door for a fair hearing and a fair trial. But from the start of it, it was basically heading in a direction of just a ceremonial show.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
the member of parliament who moved the motion to send it to the Committee of Privileges is Madam Gail Teixeira.
Yep.
And Gail Teixeira, in her motion, accused us of disorderly conduct, accused us of conducting ourselves in a manner that was unbecoming. She already made those pronouncements in her motion. So when it was sent to the Committee of Privileges, Gail Teixeira should have recused herself
Yep.
from
Yep.
participating in any
Yep.
deliberations surrounding those accusations. But instead, she played a part of the
She's a
deliberation.
judge in her
She
own cause.
maintained her grounds
Hmm.
in the Committee of Privileges, and she was the one that was basically carrying the battle after accusing us.
Yeah.
And then when the report was put together and brought before the National Assembly, it is she again who stood up and moved another motion requesting the suspension of the MPs. So Gail Teixeira was chief cook and bottle watcher of this entire series. Gail Teixeira was the accuser. She was the judge. She was the jury, and she was also the executioner. So
Yeah.
where is the democracy that is enshrined in our constitution towards our members of parliament, as
Sadly
documented
lacking.
in Article 144.8 of our constitution? So it was
Sadly
a
lacking.
silly
Yeah.
show. It was a silly show from the beginning.
Yeah.
It was merely ceremonial from the beginning, and never intended to get to the bottom of the issue.
Yeah.
And the People's Progressive Party made the Committee of Privileges and made the Parliament of Guyana nothing else but a clown show on that
Puppy show.
day, and
Yeah.
presided over by Chief
Yeah.
Clown Mansour Nadir.
Just a couple of things quick as we were on this issue. One, I wanna emphasize again that according to what I saw written, quite a few persons tendered evidence against the MPs in the form of statements. To this day, I have not seen one statement, one written statement. I don't know when the committee met, when those persons met with the committee and tendered those statements. I don't know, anything about that. But yet these people were allowed to enter evidence against members of parliament. In addition to that, Ganesh, you had the opposition as well on the based on the events of that day would have proffered a motion that several of the government MPs should be brought before the Committee of Privileges. We yet to see that. Yet to see
Yes,
that in
and
the National Assembly.
I maintain, as I have said before, Anand Prasad, who is the junior minister of local government and regional development, on that day was sitting on the seat where the mace had to be placed.
Yep.
He was literally
Yep.
sitting there, which is a violation, and he was not sent to the Committee of Privileges. You
Correct.
had the Prime Minister Mark Phillips walking around the National Assembly, raising up his hands like a turkey in heat, and he was not sent to the Committee of Privileges.
Correct.
A number of other members of parliament from the government side participated by way of being out of their seats, walking around the National Assembly. I remember Jennifer Westford running up the stairs alongside me, and she was not sent to the Committee of Privileges. So it begs the question as to what really is democracy in Guyana and who has the authority to define democracy. And clearly, the Klung show that I keep referencing that occurred on that day, that was spearheaded by Chief Klung, seems to only have one motive at hand, and that was to lessen the authority of the opposition,
Yep.
weaken the
Yep.
strength of the opposition in the House. And when you look at what unfolded after that motion was passed, the government came to Parliament for in excess of 40 plus billion dollars.
Yep. Yep.
So their intentions were clear, and that was to reduce the authority of the opposition to scrutinize their requests for these additional funds that belongs to the taxpayers. And in those sums were $100 million to continue to fight legal cases. Why is it that the state, why is it that the people of this country have to bore those costs when the actions that were filed is against the People's Progressive Party? These two petitions that we have in the courts, these petitions are us fighting against a political party, not fighting against the people of Guyana. These monies should be used wisely and not be spent willy nilly behind friends, families, and favorites. Our people are suffering. Our people are suffering tremendously, and this administration is only focused on friends, families, and favorites, and they continue to hurt our nation.
Correct is right. Correct is right. I'm happy for your intervention on that issue, folks. Let us turn our attention to another issue that was just is being ventilated rather in the press. Before we head to the real crux of the matter, this issue in region two, the very, very poor work that the government is doing via infrastructure in region two. We're coming to that. But guys, I want to detain you for a few minutes on some issues in the High Court. For instance, we're seeing here the Chief Justice just today saying to the nation that a failure to reconstitute this service commission is a disservice to the nation. And guys, we've been following this very carefully. It's only recently they tried to reconstitute the Police Service Commission. We can talk about that just now. The which other commission? Police Service Commission, the Public Procurement Commission, the Public Service Commission.
The Public Service Commission, the Procurement Commission. Well, the Procurement Commission,
not the Public Service, is the Procurement and the Police Commission and the Police Service Commission.
Police Service Commission.
Yeah. And
the Public Service Commission
still outstanding.
And the Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission is not duly constituted because the chairman of the Public Service Commission has not been appointed.
Correct. So
don't Public Service Commission is a part of the Police Service.
Good. Commission. So don't let's come to that one as yet. Let's deal with the broad issue of these outstanding commissions. One of which is the Teaching Service Commission. The Judicial Service Commission is yet outstanding in terms of being reconstituted and functioning according to their mandate. And it is these commissions that the Chief Justice says a failure to reconstitute them is a disservice. As a matter of fact, quoting her here out of Starbuck News, she said it was highly unfortunate that these commissions were yet to be reconstituted. Highly unfortunate. This goes to the they like to talk about good governance and rule of law, right? But that's only to other people. That's only due to other folks. You were with Freddie the other night. You don't hear Freddie talking about these things and writing about these things at all, among some others of their commentators. At all. You don't hear them talking about these issues at all, Gadish.
Well, when I was with Freddie, because of how he was behaving, I was forced to ask him if he is being paid by the People's Progressive Party to do what he is doing. And his defense to that, or his answer to that, was for me to ask if you and David Hines are being paid by the APNU. But
Mm-hmm,
what
mm-hmm,
Freddie fails to realize is that Sherrod Duncan publicly associates himself with the AFC and by extension the APNU AFC. And David Hines publicly associates himself with the WPA. So David Hines and Sherrod Duncan are championing the position of their political
mm-hmm.
parties to which they publicly associate themselves with. But Freddie Kissoon, who claims to be objective, who claims to be independent, who claims to be impartial, cannot find it within his writings to see anything wrong with the manner in which the COVID cash grants were
Yep,
distributed
yep,
to the Guyanese
yep,
people. Even though there were so many complaints,
yep.
he cannot find it within his writings to write anything concerning the Sugates matter,
Mm-hmm.
concerning
Not a
Jadito
line, not a
and what
word.
was revealed by Vice News.
Uh-huh.
He cannot find it to write anything about that. He cannot find anything to write about so many other issues that are affecting the ordinary Guyanese, the composition of the tender boards, among so many other issues. He cannot find it to write about that. And he wants me to believe that he is impartial. Well, I have drawn the conclusion based on his behavior that he is indeed part and parcel of this installed regime, that he is indeed part and parcel of receiving funds to do what he is doing. I am of that view and that opinion based on his behavior, and
Mm-hmm.
I will not take away from that. But to come back to your substantive question, reference these service commissions. The service commissions are expected to be the guardrails of democracy in those respective sectors: the
Mm-hmm.
Judicial Service Commission, the
Mm-hmm.
Teaching Service
Correct,
Commission,
correct.
the Public Service Commission. All these commissions, they function to uphold the rule of law and the practice within the administration of their respective field so that it does not become a political zone for manipulation. When you look at the Judicial Service Commission, they are expected to function independent of government's intervention or opposition's intervention. The Teaching Service Commission, same thing. Public Service Commission, Police Service Commission, same thing. They are expected to function to ensure that the rule of law is held tight, to
Yep.
ensure that democracy stands, and to basically keep the guardrails of our democracy up. In the absence of these commission, the services department, such as the public service department, the police service, the Guyana Police Force, the judiciary, and all the other respective sectors, in the absence of their commission, it is basically left for it's basically left vulnerable, and the intervention and the interference of politics and politicians is there for them to fall prey to. And that is why our people have to join and call for these commissions to be sworn in and duly constituted, so that the independence of the commissions and the rule of law and the guardrails of our democracy are kept intact.
Yep, 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 yep. You have all that happening. And now I want to circle back to the issue of, for instance, the Chief Justice's decision on the Police Service Commission, saying that in the absence of a chairman of the Public Service Commission, who is an integral part of the Police Service Commission, a member of that commission, he mandated to use what is being reported here, mandated to be a member of the Police Service Commission. The latter commission cannot be said to have been legally set up. Is every turn these people who say they are custodians of the Constitution, custodians and guardians of democracy, they seem to be doing everything counter to that. Everything.
You see, Sherrod, um, I think it's widely accepted and it's widely appreciated that Irfan Ali uh, cannot as yet produce his first degree, which puts his academic thinking into question. So I will not stoop to that level of blaming him for his intellectual circumcision. But what I will do is to lay the blame at the Attorney General's feet and blame him for not providing the necessary guidance to the administration, because he is by right the custodian of the Constitution. He by right is the legal person with a barrage of lawyers at his side that is that needs to guide the administration. And he has failed the people of Guyana and failed his own installed regime, and to that extent he should tender his resignation. But you may want to counter that by saying to me that everything rises and falls on
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah.
Whoever is at the helm also has to be equally responsible. And I will not argue with that, but save and except to say that I fully agree and concur.
Yep, it means, and even more so, the owner should be on, as you said, the person who's heading this commission was appointed to so to resign, especially, if you comport yourself as a man of God and all of those high things. That being said, but we understand, because
But
if you look at
with that
this,
ruling, there's
uh,
a significant part of that ruling that our people should also know. And that is that this police service commission cannot do anything going forward until it is properly
yeah,
constituted.
yeah,
So I want to know if, because the commission cannot function going forward, due to it not being constitutionally in place by way of being constituted properly, will the chairman still receive a hefty salary? Will the other
yeah,
commissioners still continue to get
and
taxpayers' money,
yeah,
knowing that
yeah,
they can perform any functions unless they're duly constituted?
yeah,
And it's very sad that the chief justice had to refer to the doctrine or the de facto doctrine of not necessity. I can't remember what was the legal word, but basically she had to save all the actions that they took,
yeah,
even though they were not duly constituted. So all the promotions that the Police Service Commission put in place, all the actions that they took prior to this decision,
yeah,
unfortunately, the Chief Justice had to
yeah,
save it.
because it would lead to too
And
much
I can
confusion.
understand.
It will lead a lot of confusion. It will lead
Yes,
to
it would have
chaos and confusion,
led to
purgatory,
of
confusion,
confusion.
powder.
So
Yep,
I can understand her doing it, but it's sad that we had to go into that realm
yeah,
and basically approve actions
that
that
are
were
illegal, really and
unconstitutional in the
truly.
first
Yep,
place.
yep. So they're squatting right now, and it
Yeah,
harkens back to Sarah Brown and Vikash Ramkisoon as parliamentary secretaries in the National Assembly, because even with the court ruling, they're still receiving salaries, as far as we know.
yes, as far as we're told, they're still receiving all the
Yep,
benefits uh,
yep,
that all the benefits of a parliamentary secretary, notwithstanding them not having the authority to sit in the National Assembly as members of parliament
yep.
in their capacity as parliamentary
Wow. So
secretary.
clearly, this is an administration and a regime that don't give a heck about the Constitution, but they say the otherwise. The custodians and the bastions, they say the otherwise. Guys, let's turn our attention now to region number 2, because again, it's like every facet of national life, we see tremendous failings of the PPP.
But
Every facet.
with your permission, before we turn to Region 2, I want to bring an issue to the fore, which is picking up some steam.
Go ahead, sir.
This government, installed as they are, during the heavy rainfalls, declared to the nation that rice farmers will receive compensation for the lands that they prepared for the planting of rice.
Mhm.
And they said that they are going to pay $45,000 per acre to every rice farmer that had their lands prepared for cultivation. There are a number of complaints reaching the office of the leader of the opposition, where officers from the Guyana Rice Development Board, GRDB, verified and certified that farmers indeed lost acreage of land. And I can point you to one rice farmer that lost 150 acres of land due to preparation work that was already in phase could not plant because of the heavy rainfall and flooding. So he was entitled or is entitled to 150 acres multiplied by $45,000 per acre, right? Are you hearing me,
Yes, yes,
Sherrod?
yes. I'm wrapped attention, guys. Go ahead.
Yes. So if he is entitled to 150 acres, right? Multiply by 45,000, that will give you an amount of $6,750,000. That is what he's entitled to, in keeping with the announcement that was made by the installed regime. And that is what was approved by the Guyana Rice Development Board officer, because they went into the field and they saw that this is the amount of land prepared, and they concluded that it was 150 acres that were damaged due to this heavy flood. And the loss of the farmer is equivalent to $6,750,000 after multiplying the acreage by $45,000 per acre, as promised by Irfan Ali. That farmer, after process followed, received only $3,150,000 from the Guyana Rice Development Board. Is that in keeping with what Irfan Ali said? Definitely no. But what I have picked up is that there seems to be a corrupt practice happening at the level of the Ministry of Agriculture, Guyana Rice Development Board, where the money was requested in full, but the check that was handwritten to the rice farmer was handwritten to a lesser amount of $3,150,000.
Wow.
So that
Wow.
requires some serious
Yep.
investigation. It
Yep.
requires a
Yep.
forensic audit. And we at the Office of the Leader of the Opposition will be requesting that that audit be conducted into this distribution exercise, so that we can bring out the level of corruption and the level of mismanagement at these institutions that have political appointees associated to the People's Progressive Party.
Yep, 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 yep. Again, it is every facet of national life. We see this degradation happening, the wilting away of what should be the ideal thing for some corrupt practice that is occurring. And we only got to ask right here, for instance, how many people still holding pink slips in their hand? And perhaps it's not because of wanting to hold pink slips, but because the money gone someplace else in somebody other pocket for their house bill and they can't buy it. Nice time for other people. This sheer corruption, start to finish, with this administration.
Yes.
And
And
as
then
yep.
then we also have, Sherrod, we also have these part-time jobs that Jagdio spoke
Oh
of.
boy.
We
Mm-hmm.
had about 8,000 part-time jobs across the country. We are made to understand at the level of the Leader of the Opposition's office that these workers are being pushed in a direction of doing political work for the People's Progressive Party. So can you imagine the People's Progressive Party taking taxpayers' money, your money, my money, the people's money, and paying their persons, their personnel, their workers to do political work for them, when these monies could have been used in a more prudent manner and to bring relief to our taxpayers? Can you imagine public servants are still waiting or awaiting a salary increase so that they can be assisted with this high level of cost of living? You
Correct.
have
Correct.
police men and women on the road on a daily basis directing traffic.
Yep.
You have thousands of police officers whom I believe are honest and dedicated to their job. Yes, you got the one and two foul ones. Yes, you got about five or six of them that are in the corruption scheme going on right now that is gripping our country. But you have thousands of police officers that are honestly executing their job, honestly carrying out their functions, but they have to go home with their 70 and 80 and $90,000 a month and go to the shop and buy groceries in excess of $60,000 for a family of two and three. That is where our country is. And these people are waiting for an assistance in the form of a cash grant to assist them to cushion this high cost of living. teachers are
Mm-hmm.
struggling to teach our children, to make things better for our children and make our nation educated, and they're still awaiting assistance to cushion high cost of living. Doctors and nurses, they are doing their best for our healthcare system under conditions that are inhumane, and they are also awaiting an assistance, and they can't get nothing. You have public servants working 8 to 4:30, providing a service to the people. They can't get an assistance as yet. But you have people who are associated to the People's Progressive Party, friends, families, and cronies, families and favorites, who are getting money in a willy-nilly fashion to do political work for the People's Progressive Party so that they can continue to squat in office on our strength, our sweat, our blood, but they're not doing anything for us. It is not fair in Guyana.
Yep,
It is not
yep.
fair whatsoever.
Endorsed, 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 endorsed. And this is the same kind of attitude that we're seeing in Region 2, Ganesh, because kudos to the residents there who pointed out the deficiencies in a particular road project in Joanna Cecilia in Region 2, Essequibo Supernam, that general region there. Kudos to them who were able to point out this is how this road construction should be done, but it's happening in another way. It's the same kind of foolishness. And in one point of the video, I don't think we captured it here, one fella said, one resident was asking the foreman or whoever the hell the fella be, how much money you get, what was siphoned off. But I want to give our viewers a sense of what we're talking about with the video that we have. And Ganesh, I want you to put it in context when we come back, exactly what is happening here, what is at stake, and what is needed.
The shoulder and the trench.
This dirty, they go from inside the trench here. This man come here, if you put it back, he back. Then this engineer did mud down him back. You pass through the afternoon, you see it right here. That was Friday afternoon. You pass through and you see it right here, they got him back. He got another street out there as well that he's doing. And the same thing he did there. He dug the trench up to build the shoulder.
That is true, I tell you. What it time of dig, when they do the road, you see after the road, you see what that is. You say no.
Watch, you not digging it.
The depth of this thing, right?
No, we don't build shoulder. No, we can't dig the trench with the shoulder, sir.
A shoulder supposed to build if the engineer can talk. Right? A shoulder supposed to build before he start full load.
He start full mode for the loom.
And if the engineer you go after the specification of the road,
you take it out there easy. Watch out go on this, or watch out go on there. Or you go walk in there for clean that.
these are the normal depth of this trench, right? Let me go away. You see when we make one super. You see? When there's our road where heavy duty machine pass, right, paddy? And with this depth here, right? When you go run there, you see them, this depth over here, and the whole road will go down. The next 2 miles, they move from now, you got to come back and do the road again. Is that so, engineer?
You can't get slippage?
Tell me that. Why you can't get slippage?
We do work more than the shoulder when you need a shoulder.
Well, that
Experience is issues.
Oh, you
well,
Yeah, no, but you come today and add you could put back the mud in the trench.
we ain't vote for this, We ain't vote for this. This is now we vote for.
Why is it that
This is now we vote for.
a trench digging, right? Why is it you're
No, you
carrying
have no right to dig it friendly and stuff.
Yeah, but you passed through back here.
You
Why you
passed
didn't
through
tell him
back
to
here.
put back the mud in the trench? Where you take it out from? Why you didn't tell him?
But I didn't.
Good, sir.
Mr. Edges,
That go look bad for an ID, sir, because that go look bad for good governance, because the people are them put in place can't perform, they're incompetent.
Very clear.
Yes, sir.
That
There's
if you are a
incompetency.
resident and you're living within a community and you see a work is going not how it's supposed to be doing, you report it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the right, so you're within your rights to report
Right.
whatever you see. You're within your rights.
Yes.
Nothing
Yes, sir.
wrong, nothing wrong with that.
Sir,
Yep. There you have it, folks. Kudos to the residents there for paying attention to what should be done and calling out these folks, calling them out. Ganesh, MP.
Sherrod, first of all, let me say to your viewers and listeners that this is in Johanna Cecilia, region number 2. And it is a project that is being executed by the Ministry of Public Works under the ministerial watchful eyes of Deodat Indar and Bishop Juan Ejil,
Mm-hmm.
two incompetent people for that portfolio, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And the engineer is one Mr. Juman, and he is the one executing the project. And when it was brought to my attention what is happening there, I immediately thought it best to inform Indar, Deodat Indar. So I sent him a Facebook messenger message. You know, he's on Facebook. He's always there defending and fighting. And when I sent it to him, I saw that he received it and he indicated to me that he's going to look into it. But what is greater here is the fact that the engineer does not have the ability to withhold information from the residents. That is not a part of his portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
residents requested a copy of the scope of work and they requested a bill of quantity
Why would
to
he
see
want them to
what
see
is
that? Why wouldn't he?
well, obviously, if he is refusing to give them that, it's an indication that there is something that is happening behind the scenes.
Oh, I see.
Because the people must know if the road has to have 10 inches of loom, or if it has to have 5 inches of crush and run, or if it has to be 3 inches thick of tar.
Mm-hmm.
All of
Mm-hmm.
these are things that are
Mm-hmm.
found in this document
Mm-hmm.
that he has to produce. The residents will know if he has to bring the mud to build the road shoulder. The residents will know if the width of the road has to be 10 feet or 12 feet. All of these things are documented in the
Wow.
bill of quantities. But I don't think that there was a bill of quantity that was put together for this work also, because I saw another video where he was on the site directing to the contractor that we're going to do that end that's 12 feet and we're going to do this end that's 10 feet and then we're going to pass here and there. And he was making decisions on the spot
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when he was supposed to already sign a contract with this contractor to get this work done.
According
And
to
any
X
change,
specification.
yes, and any changes would have required a environment, because any changes to the scope of work will also entail a change to the finance that is
Yeah.
associated to the
Correct.
an
Correct.
environment would have had to be prepared. And these are the kind of issues that we are finding with these engineers, most of them whom are in corrupt practices with contractors and with their respective political associates. And I have no apologies for that statement because it is factual. I have found many dealings at the level of the Public Accounts Committee that points in the direction of there being works done and not executed properly due to political interference and political intervention by ministers and other political appointees to these people who are supposed to be professionals in their field of engineering.
Correct
But
is
you
right.
know, I can't beat up on them alone without pointing out that they have to save their job and they got to save their daily bread because of where cost of living is. So when I hear a situation like an engineer saying to us that they were forced to do XYZ, you have to understand the context in which they speak. I cannot want to kill that engineer to basically come out and say XYZ and then he loses his job and I can't provide for him because he is living in a country where cost of living is high and political intervention and interference from the People's Progressive Party is very high also.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
solution to these problems lie with the politicians and it lies with the people who are holding the power, wielding the power, having the authority to do it in a manner that is very, very responsible and stop political intervention and interference from professionals executing their functions.
Yep. It's such a sad state of affairs. It's such a
Very
sad
sad.
state of affairs.
Very
And
sad.
this is the people, when we talk about the scope of works and all that stuff, they always talk about transparency. We transparent. We have good governance. You have a whole minister for that. And they're failing miserably. Hear what the
And
resident is saying. This goes to good governance. This goes to X, Y, Z, incompetence.
Sheriff, I remember it was Bishop Juan Edgil who looked at the 2017 Auditor General report and found all the faults, drilled it at the Public Accounts Committee to speak about not paying contractors 50% in terms of their mobilization cost and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2020 Auditor General's report was out. And when you look at what is happening at the Ministry of Public Works, I was basically left in awe
Mm-hmm.
because the same Edgil that complained bitterly about what happened in 2017 is worse in his year as 2020 when he was minister. In December of 2020, his ministry gave out contracts to contractors. Contractors didn't start the project, but they received over 50% payment.
Oh, wow.
For the
Wow. So the
work.
man ain't
And
practicing what
Edgil
he
wants to
preaching.
stand. Edgil wants to stand and tell me he's a bishop and
Mhm.
want to stand and tell me that he's a God-fearing man and he believes in God and everything must be done right. And if you see what came out of his ministry,
Yeah.
nobody will go to
Yeah.
church if this.
Maybe that
And I
is
will
why,
expose it. I will write about it.
MP Ganesh Mahipal, maybe that is why we saw some moves out of the very bishop and his leading lady, Miss Teixeira in the PAC, making moves not to hear, not to have scrutinized the spending from 2020 coming forward. Maybe that's why we saw those machinations.
You are perfectly correct. It's about 4 or 5 meetings now. The People's Progressive Party are not showing up to the Public Accounts Committee, and we are not able to be co-rated, so we cannot continue the work of the PAC.
Wow.
Before times 1963, the PAC's quorum was any 3 members. Gail Teixeira the other day came to Parliament and said that we want that to be changed. We wanted to represent 2 from government side, 2 from opposition, and the chairman.
Yeah.
Since that change was made, we have not had a proper PAC meeting as yet because they don't show up to come to the meeting so we can be co-rated to conduct the people's business. And the Public Accounts Committee is perhaps the most important committee.
Correct.
It is perhaps
Correct.
the most important committee. Whilst all the others are equal, this one I will give a tit-tat edge over the rest because this one scrutinizes government's spending. This one ensures accountability and transparency. This one is responsible for good governance and the rule of law. We examine the spending of government and we put corrective recommendations for them to implement.
Yep. Yeah.
But they ain't coming
Yep.
to it. They ain't coming to it because they want to delay us reaching the 2020 and 2021 Auditor General's report. Because I can only imagine the corruption.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the bad governance.
Yeah.
I can only imagine cronyism, nepotism, and all the likes that will come out from those reports, given what has transpired in our country from August 2nd, 2020 to date.
Yeah, correct and right. This is the hypocrisy of the folks, to say one thing but do something totally different, to come and to condemn and to preach and to do all of that. And then they are doing worse, Ganesh, doing worse. Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy and duplicitousness at its best.
And as the Minister of Education spelled the word hypocrites. That's what they are, hypocrites. Ganesh, as we wrap up, I'd love to have your thoughts on this ongoing fiasco, this ongoing debacle with Sergeant Dion Bascom, who they failed to grant special leave so that they can investigate properly the allegations that they make, damning allegations against high-ranking officers in the police force. They have failed also to provide witness protection for him, but demanding of him to return to work, which we were told he has done since Monday, exposing him.
I believe, Sherrod, that Dion Bascom required protection of the state because of the damning stuff that he spoke of. There are some serious allegations in the statements that he made, and given that he was not willing to retract them, even though he was asked to, is enough for one to conclude that this gentleman may very well have the proof to which he speak of. And then I listened also to the other gentleman, the other one that claimed that Dion Bascom took him to the police station.
Mhm.
What's his name?
Yep, yep. Mr.
I can't
Bacchus.
remember the
Mr. Bacchus. Ronald Bacchus.
Ron Bacchus. I looked. I was in awe too. I saw a gentleman saying that no, his lawyer did not take him to CID, to the police.
Hmm.
Then a couple of minutes after, with another interviewer, he said that the lawyer did. So the amount of mix-up, Sherrod, listen, this debacle, this problem, this issue at the Guyana Police Force is a clear indication
Yeah,
of our force returning to the dark
yeah,
days.
yeah,
We had a police force, I remember, when I was in the protest line chanting police brutality must stop, starting with the top cop. I believe now we have to chant police corruption must stop, starting with the top cop. And I know in 2015 to 2020, the AP and UASC was working to return the Guyana Police Force to an organization where you can walk with your head
yeah,
held high.
yeah, yeah,
Where when you
yeah,
see a police officer, the respect that you give him is one that he is entitled to.
yeah,
Where when you see the Guyana Police Force, you must be proud to know that you're associated to this country and its police force.
yeah.
That is what the coalition was
We were
working
on our
towards.
way
And that
there.
is what the coalition was on the path
Yeah,
of achieving.
yeah.
When we appointed Commissioner Leslie James and the four deputy commissioners, it wasn't done in isolation of PPP. Jack Dio was in that meeting
Yeah.
when that decision was taken. So this talk that they're making, or this thing that I see some of them saying, and it's sad that I saw Big Smith carrying it too, saying that we sidelined Hickins. I remind him that the decision that was taken wasn't a singular decision. It was a decision that was taken with both political leaders before Leslie James and the deputy commissioners were appointed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
want to say openly here and now that you cannot have a police force that is under so many questions and don't expect people to become defensive of their own property and self. And you see, when you have these big businessmen and women, and even middle class people that can afford it, establishing their own protection for their own purpose because they have lost faith into the Guyana police force, it is as though you're going to have a parallel force running alongside the Guyana police force.
Yeah.
And that is something a state must not afford or allow to happen.
Yep. And we spoke about
Entrust
this.
your police force with the action and
Yeah.
ability to function independent
Yep.
of intervention from politicians.
Yep. Yep. And there's
That
where we
is
were heading.
our police force is in a sad state. But I again make the point, Sherrod, I again make the point in closing that we have thousands of police officers, thousands of Guyana Defense Force officers, thousands of fire service men who are innocent in all of this, who are innocent in what is taking
Yeah.
place in our
Yeah.
disciplinary service. And to them, I salute them
Yeah.
and I wish them well as they continue to execute their duties in a manner that is dignified one way or another. And I want to say to them that the coalition will return to power. And when we do, we will continue to build from where we have left off and make the force, the GDF, the fire service, and all other departments of the state professional to the point where we as citizens can comfortably receive service and be proud of the country we were born in. But right now, I'm ashamed to
Yeah.
know that I am a Guyanese because of my government. But I know and I have that hope that a day will come in the near future when the right government will be put in place to bring back dignity
Yep.
to
Yep.
our
Yep.
country and our people. And I
Yep.
will walk with my head held high and
Yep.
display my passport and ID card proudly
Yep.
as a Guyanese citizen.
No, no, it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that. Every day is some pocketouring confusion powder. But that's going to do it for us at this end, folks. We're going to see you guys right back here this evening in the ring. I want to thank a member of parliament, a shadow minister for local government and regional development, Ganesh Paul, for coming by and trying to make sense and making sense of these issues for us, folks. Very, very protracted, nuanced issues, and he can only do it the way that he can. Ganesh, thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, and good afternoon to your entire viewership.
Thank you once again, Ganesh. Folks, that's going to do it, as we said. Stacey Install, we see you there. Lynette Fraser and all the other guys, Kyle Roberts, Lake Ram Kellerwan, we see you. Simone Williams, Marsha Gordon, and Sherian Beard, and is it Nadira Sukraj? Good to see you, Nadira, and all the other folks who've joined us. Your presence, folks, makes a difference in these programs. Your presence, folks. Thanks for joining. That's going to do it, as we said, for us at this end. You know, we can't do these programs without you. And so we ask you guys to partner with us so that we can continue doing what we're doing. Pace and Power, guys. We're available via Cash App, available via Zelle and PayPal, available via MMG, MoneyGram, and West Union as well. Every cent, folks, goes toward making our programs what they are. To keep them going, folks, Pace and Power, thanks for joining us. We're going to see you guys right back here this evening at 8 in the ring. Thanks for joining our international podcast, folks. Below the belt, who vex lose. That's going to do it for us. Stay safe. Stay safe.